Welcome to the Mindful Malibu Morning. I'm Casey Barneson. I'm a counselor, a teacher, and an author. And for the past 10 years, I have spent researching mental health and wellness and working with students on major life transitions. I am obsessed with self-development and this idea that we have the power to live our lives better each and every day with just a little bit amount of time. So join me in conversations about mental health and wellness, but also personal motivation, growth, and self-development. Thank you guys so much for joining. Episodes come out every single week. You can like and subscribe to never miss an episode. Leave a rating and a review. That would be really helpful. With that, let's get started with today's episode. Hi guys, welcome back or welcome for the very first time. I am excited that you are here. We're sitting in our sunroom, which I am about to paint after I record this episode. I find that when you get into a space where you feel really creative and have inspired action, that's when you know you're in that alignment, more high frequency flying space because you feel at peace. When you feel at peace, I have found that you just have so much more room for creativity and ideas and flowing. So if you're in a state where you're feeling a little bit erratic and stressed and anxious, I encourage you to do whatever you can to allow yourself first to feel that emotion. We talked about that in our last episode of emotional regulation. I encourage you to take a listen to that if you're interested. And also feeling where you are, but then allowing yourself to do the good things that are going to get you to a more relaxed, calm, and focused state so that we can be inspired and get the things that we need to get done, but also do the fun things like play and create and paint and write. And those are the things that keep our brains moving. It keeps us excited. So I encourage you to get into that flow state by, laying down, taking a nap, doing yoga, light stretches, whatever it is that you might need to do to get to a clear, better head space. Today, we're talking about scripting, and I'm really excited to talk about this topic because I have used this a number of times in my life, and it absolutely works. This is a tool that helps you get clear on the future version of yourself that you want to be, and you journal and you write as if it was happening, and you believe it, and you get really specific about the ideas and the clarity, and what happens is incredible. Things start lining up to get you to that future version of yourself because you've done the work and the practice that gets you to feel like you're already there. It's also a really great tool to help you get oriented with your goals. So if you're finding you're feeling a little bit stuck in a certain area of your life and you're wanting to make a shift, you're wanting to make a change, scripting is a really good way to get clear and specific about where you would like to go to next. It helps you visualize and feel what it's like to already have the things that you want, the future version of yourself. And it, again, then goes into that inspired action. A lot of times I find that when I listen to things about manifesting or journaling, what's missing is the reminder that there does need to be inspired action. So as we script and as we journal and as we decide what we want in our future, then it's like, okay, I put it out there for the universe to get back to me. And what I want you to remember is that there are steps that you can actually take. That's inspired action. And those steps come from inspiration and ideas that come and flow and pop into your head. So if you've ever gotten really clear about a goal, or you decide that you want to start a new business, or you want to shift an area of your life, and then you're in the shower, you're not thinking about anything, or you're washing dishes, you're doing something completely mindless, and an idea pops in your head that aligns with what you're trying to accomplish. Those ideas that pop into our mind come when we are in that kind of mindless state, which is why things like meditation and mindfulness are so good, because we have so many limiting beliefs and voices in our heads. You've got your limiting beliefs that are telling you how and why things won't work. Then we have so much distraction with our phones and the people that are around us. And there's a lot of noise around us. So it can be very difficult if we want to start our own business, or if we want to make a shift or make a big move in our life, or we want to plan that big trip that we've always wanted to plan. And our brain is clouded with what is in front of us, what's happening right in front of us, what's the noise, what are all the reasons why this absolutely won't work for my life right now. And when you allow that mindlessness, your mind to wander, your mind to be in that flow, free, clear state that can happen in meditation or in a yoga class or simply while you're taking a shower and you just are allowing yourself to focus on the water and the feeling or washing dishes or whatever it might be, that's when the ideas start happening. That's when things become inspired action and motion happens. And that's what I want to encourage you. And we're going to talk about all of that today. So if you're looking to make a shift in your life, like this can work if you need to shift your career, if you're wanting to get into a relationship, if you're wanting to make a big move, or if you're just wanting to see a future version of yourself that is very different from what it is today, this is a tool that I think will really help you. And it is very straightforward and it's a very actionable tool that anybody can do. It doesn't take a lot of time and it gets to be really fun because you get to be in control of the details and what you write. So let's define scripting for the purpose of this conversation. Scripting is a journaling practice where you write about your future self right now in the present tense as if it is already happening. Scripting is a powerful, powerful tool, and the key is that you need to write it in present tense. The other key is that it should be fun, it should be light, and it should not feel forced. And we're going to talk about setting up your space and your time so that you can script in a way that is working for you instead of fostering those limiting beliefs. And that might not be a great time to do scripting. So let's say you want to start a new business. Instead of those things that we tell ourselves or tell our friends, like, I will start this new business in 5 years. I will go back to school and earn my master's degree or my doctorate. You flip that narrative and say, I have started my new business and I'm meeting with my marketing director next week. My new business is bringing in X amount of dollars per year. I love my ability and my freedom with my new position. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty specifics, but just remember that instead of I will or I want, it is already happening and you put pen to paper, and that is the practice of scripting. Scripting combines writing and visualization, and it's a powerful tool for, again, that inspired action, growth, and manifesting. Manifesting is simply just making all of this come to a reality. I think a lot of times, and my husband always makes fun of me for this, manifesting can sound very like spiritually guru and, whatever you might have an idea of manifesting in your head. What you're doing when you manifest is simply getting very clear about your goals and your future self, and you are aligning yourself into a space that is allowing those things to come to you. So if you're wanting to start that new business or you're wanting to take a big trip and travel the world, you're believing that you can happen, like you are believing that this can happen, and you are starting to line up and be open to the ideas, to the new opportunities to present themselves that help you get there. And I promise when you get really clear about what you want and you allow and open yourself to receive, the world, the universe, whatever you want to call it, will start to deliver people and things and ideas that help you get there. I promise you this works and it is amazing, and it doesn't have to be so guru-y. Even my husband can do it. So follow along with me and let's get going. I'm not going to go too deep into the science of this because I'm not a science girly. I'm an educator. If you Google this and look at the research, the data will show you your brain does not know something that is imagined versus something that is real. We can rewire our brain and trick ourselves into thinking that the things we want, the person that we want to be, is already happening. That's really powerful here. And again, the reason why the mindful Malibu morning, why the word mindful is in front of all of this, is because we have the ability and the power to work our minds and use them to our advantage in a way that is going to transform our world. And if we can get a hold of our mind and use these advanced techniques that aren't so crazy advanced, things are going to start happening for you that are going to be transformative and amazing. Some of the benefits of using scripting as a practice rather than something else, like simply sitting down and meditating and visualizing or creating a vision board, for example, scripting gets really clear and specific, and it gives you that clarity. The clarity is the key, and the details and the key to helping you get really specific and paint that picture of your future self. This is getting clear on your goals. So not only are you thinking about, I want to plan this big trip around the world, you're getting clarity about the length of the trip, the countries that you will see, the type of seat that you will sit in on the airplane, your type of experience when you go out to restaurants and what hotels you're staying in, the type of experiences you're having while you're abroad, whatever that might be. If you're looking to be in a relationship, for example, you're getting really clear and getting clarity about the type of relationship that you want, the type of partner that is coming to you, how they treat you, how they make you feel, how they show up for you, the type of relationship and what that looks like. Do you go on a lot of dates? Do you go on trips together? Do you bring each other home to their family? Do you play and create together? You're getting super clear, and that focus gets you in that very goal-oriented space, which primes you for that inspired action. And you're aligning your subconscious with your desires. So it kind of goes back to that brain, mind, body thing. You're tricking your brain. Take, for example, if you're wanting to attract and get into a healthy, loving relationship with a partner. If you are on apps and you're constantly telling yourself that you're constantly telling yourself that you live in a city where there's not a lot of availability to good men. I'm at an age where all the good men are taken. I have had trust issues in the past, and I don't necessarily believe that I can trust someone that comes into my life. I don't know if I have the time and the space to invest in a date on a Tuesday night. You're starting to train your body and your mind that a relationship is not only inaccessible, but a relationship is unattainable at this point because it is not an option. When you eliminate those beliefs and start that present tense scripting, it was so refreshing and amazing to go on that first date. He was so open and warm. We had beautiful conversation. I'm so excited that he already planned a second date. I feel confident. I feel comfortable. I laugh. I feel open to the idea of love. That language is so self-serving in a positive way that it's allowing you to open up to that possibility. And that's where we're aligning our subconscious with our desires. Okay, how do we begin? Scripting, fine. It sounds all great, but I feel kind of silly sitting down and journaling and writing this out loud. First of all, I want you to give yourself the permission to dream and not be embarrassed of yourself. We will only go as far as what we believe we can. So when you allow yourself the freedom and the confidence to shoot for the stars, that's where you're going to go. When you begin, you need to find the space and the time to do this in a way that's going to be clear, calming, and uninterrupted. Again, this doesn't have to be a whole day you shut yourself off and you go on a eat, pray, love trip and you go inward and you figure it out. But I do think that you need to be mindful and realistic about your environment. So I would do this on a lunch break sometimes at work when I was really dreaming about doing something different with my career and having more freedom and having more entrepreneurship. So on my lunch break, I would walk to the Starbucks and I would put on AirPods and listen to music. And I would make sure that I went to a Starbucks that none of my colleagues or anyone else would be at. And I would order a coffee and I would sit down and put in that music. And then I would write for just 10 minutes. And it didn't take that long, but it allowed me to be in a space where nothing was expected of me. I had music in my head. I knew I had a solid 20 minutes that I could sit down and write. And that really worked well for me. At my house, I have a lot of distractions. So I know that I have certain windows where I can do this. When my son is napping, when we drop him off at daycare and I can go to a coffee shop, when my morning tasks and cleaning and emails are done, I need to make sure that I have a clear head. Another important thing is that when you do scripting, it's really important that you are in a positive, open mindset and you are kind of free flowing. If you're sitting down and this feels like, oh, none of this could be true, my reality is obviously right in front of me. Like there's no way that I would get into a relationship. There's no way I'd be able to plan that trip abroad. And you're starting to write and you're feeling yourself angry or anxious or upset and you're reinforcing those limited beliefs, I want you to stop. None of this is going to serve you in a positive way if you're sitting there counting the reasons why it's not going to work. And you know what? There's certain days where we just are not in great moods, and that's okay. But I think it's important for us to be very realistic. I've had many days where I've had tasks and actionable items and things that I want to get done. And I realize my mood and my energy is just completely off. So I save it for another day if I can, because it's not going to serve me. It's only going to make you frustrated, and it's only going to make you believe in those limiting beliefs again. So clear your mind. Maybe you listen to a positive song. Maybe you listen to an affirmation. Maybe you meditate. Maybe you go for a nice walk. Set aside that time. And again, it doesn't have to be a lot. When you put pen to paper, get yourself a nice journal, get a nice piece of paper, a nice pen. I used to buy pens, these gel pens that had different colors, and they were green and turquoise, and it reminded me of leaves in the mountains and water and just abundance. And it wasn't like red or stop or anything. And so those gel pens, they wrote really well. And that, even just having the right pen, made me feel nice. I bought myself a new journal, which I have here. And those little things make a really big difference, and they don't cost a lot of money. When you sit down and begin to write, be clear about the script that you're going to go for. So if are we talking about your career shift, a relationship, a future version of yourself, physical or health-wise? Are we talking about a move? Are we talking about the new car that you're going to have? What is it that you're focused on? And then be very specific and detailed, and remember to write in that present tense. How do you feel? What do you see? Who are you with? Be as detailed as you possibly can. When I was teaching a career counseling class, I had a group of adults that were already teachers who were taking a master's course to be able to get their credential in counseling. So they were in current positions in a class hoping to change their roles into becoming a counselor. Some wanted to be middle school counselors, some wanted to be high school counselors, some wanted to work with first generation underserved, historically disadvantaged populations. Some wanted to open their own consultancy practice, and some wanted to go into administration, and this was a stepping ladder for it. So one of our exercises that we did together is we did this scripting exercise for their future career. And I walked them through it with prompts. You wake up in the morning. What time do you wake up? When you wake up in the morning, what do you do? Are you making breakfast? Are you enjoying quiet time at your house? Or are you getting in the car and driving to work? If you're driving to work, how far are you driving to work? What kind of car are you sitting in on that drive to work? When you get to work, what does the institution look like? Is it a studio office where you're on Zoom with students consulting? Are you in a middle school? Are you a part of a big team, a small team? What does your office look like? What are you wearing? What do you feel like? Do you feel freedom in the sense that you're driving to your studio to do consultancy? Do you feel collaborative and inspired because you're a part of a dynamic team? And then we would walk through literally the end of the day. What time are you leaving? What are you doing when you get outside of work? Are you going to a gym that happens to be nearby the school that you are a part of? Are you going home and making dinner with your family? How do you unwind? These were questions that helped the students get really specific, and it was great because they were on to their second major career of their lives, and there were a lot of different options. And I don't think we give ourselves the permission and the opportunity to dream and then believe that we can have something different for ourselves. And if we never stop and give ourselves that like retroactive thinking of what's next for me, what do I want my life to look like, your days are just going to go by as they are, and you're living in that reactive state of what is in front of me. And you can live a beautiful life, and we can go through and react to the things that are in front of us. But I do believe that there is more. I believe we have the ability to think critically about what we want and dream big for ourselves. And I promise you, things and doors start opening. I have used scripting a couple times. We're now sitting here looking back and reflecting. It has 1,000% worked for me. And it takes time, mind you. When we write down a version of our future self, we kind of put our notebook down and we walk and go about our day. And we're thinking, okay, great. world deliver what I put down. Have the patience and the confidence to know that things are aligning and things and doors will be opening up for you, but it might take some time, and that's okay. We're planting the seeds, we're watering it, we're providing enough opportunity for our plants to grow in the future. One of the biggest time that I've used scripting was in the home buying process. We were selling our home and purchasing a new one, and I used scripting in a couple different ways. When we were selling our home, it was taking a little bit of a longer time, and we were doing all the right things. We had the signs, the marketing, the right realtor. Like, you're just kind of at the mercy of the market. And I wrote a letter to the family that was going to buy our house. Now, we didn't have a buyer at all. I wrote this letter to the family as if they had already bought the house. And then I put the letter in the piano, which was one of the rooms where someone would first walk into. No one could see this letter. I just wrote it and I hid it in the piano. And a week later, we received an offer, and it was the family that ended up buying our home. The letter that I wrote was very specific, and it was to the family in a way that helped solidify the home buying process. So the letter went something like this: I am so incredibly excited for you guys to enjoy this beautiful home. As we have enjoyed the different rooms, we've been able to find our nooks and our spaces for us to create our lives in a beautiful way. We have enjoyed the backyard in its big green grass, and we've built gardens, we've had chickens, we've had barbecues, and we've hosted wonderful parties. And I am looking forward for you to experience the same hosting as you open your doors and settle into your new home. And I went through the different things about the home that I loved that I thought a future homeowner might enjoy about it. And we got that offer. And that was a great, simple, easy scripting tool. It didn't take me that long, but I wanted to put it out there that a family could enjoy the space as we did. And I also wrote it. I think I started the letter with, congratulations on purchasing our home. I know you're going to love it just as much, if not more, than we did. So that was that present tense. The next piece of the home buying process, and this is something I actually did before we sold our home, is I scripted what I wanted my home to look like my dream home. And I got really specific about, I was washing dishes and I could look out the window and see the ocean. We were 8 minutes, we live 8 minutes from the ocean, and we can pack our car and drive down and head out, and we can play in the sand. At the time I wasn't pregnant. And I also talked about, we have a room to build a nursery. We're amongst gardens and greenery, and everything is beautiful. It's an open, free space. And I went on with all of these details. And I wrote this before we even put our initial home up for sale. We live exactly 8 minutes from the beach. If you Google Maps down to the ocean that is behind me in this window, it takes 8 minutes to get down there. This stuff really works, but you do have to believe that this is possible. And it took a number of years from when probably I did that first scripting practice, was maybe 6 years ago or 5 years ago. And I'm sitting here today in this home. And there are so many other things that I'm excited to use this tool for. And I encourage you to share if you've ever done this, and maybe try something simple at first. I found that sometimes with our limiting beliefs, it's hard to believe that we can script and manifest something so big. So you may have a hard time saying, okay, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make over $500,000 every year for the next 10 years. You may have an easier time digesting the idea of a salary increase, for example. So perhaps you start with something small, something that you truly believe, and you start to grow from there. When you start with something small, what happens is you start to see it and believe it, and you get the confidence to ask for more and to dream bigger. So even if it's something small, like every time I go to the grocery store, I love that there's always a parking spot available for me. The next time you go to the grocery store and there's a parking spot available for you, affirm that, notice it, and use it to help eliminate those limiting beliefs. Now, if you want to couple this with meditation and visualization after you do the scripting process, that's great. That's a really beautiful tool that can help. But again, there's no perfect way to do this. It just needs to work for you in a space where you're not overwhelmed, you're not overthinking. So have fun with this practice. Another tip, if you're finding that the storytelling scripting just doesn't feel super right, is you can write a letter to a friend or a family member from the vantage point of your new self. So I wrote a letter to my mom describing the new career that I really wanted to have. And I found when I wrote the letter to a family member, it felt more believable and easier to write. So, for example, hi, mom, I'm so excited. I just got on the plane and I have my passport out and I'm excited to fill it with stamps. I'm going to start in Paris. I've got this beautiful hotel and I'm going to do some volunteer work there. And then I'm going to head off to my next country where I'm going to explore museums and have a little bit of time. I'll send you a postcard when I get there. I'm so excited to travel. I feel really blessed. I feel really excited about the opportunity to travel and see new places. You know, whatever it is that you're trying to get for yourself, a letter to somebody is a nice way that might be an easier writing process for you. So I challenge you, pick something small or big, whatever it might be in your personal life, your career life, your professional life, whatever it is. I want you to think about your future self and what is it that you hope to change, and use scripting. Find a time this week and use scripting as a tool, and then let me know, how does it go? The sky is the limit. Remember to catch yourself with any limiting beliefs. You can have, be, and do anything that you want, but if we don't have that confidence in ourselves, then we're just going to be our own sabotage stopped wall in front of us. So how can we give ourselves the confidence and the tools? And that might be starting really small with this process and then proving yourself right and going from there. I thank you guys, as always, for joining. You can follow me on Instagram at the Mindful Malibu Morning. Episodes are released every week, and bonus episodes with guided meditations that are less than 10 minutes will be up on YouTube and released as well. So if you find that you are interested in a meditation practice and find that you don't really know where to start, a simple 5-minute meditation is very easy. And thank you for joining me from my home to yours. I wish you guys a beautiful day, a beautiful week, wherever you are. Have fun with this, and I'll talk to you soon.